EQ gangsters, what is going on? So this episode is from the road here on my way to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class. So if the audio is a little bit off, my apologies. So it has been fascinating. The last couple of days have been a little bit interesting. I've done a few episodes back on the proof of growth that I've had in the area of overcoming my imposter syndrome, my insecurities, and having the confidence and boldness to show up the way God made me. And in fact, again, I've got the old tattoo, for those of y'all that are watching on YouTube, on my left hand that has a gift on it, a present, like a Christmas present, and it's on fire. And then on my knuckles, I've got 2 Timothy 1, 6, and 7, 2 Timothy chapter 1, verses 6 and 7, which says, fan into flame the gift that God has given you. Verse 7, for he has not given us a spirit of timidity or fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. What's interesting is the last couple of days, I have been doing a lot of emotion management, and emotional awareness, working on both of those, because I got hit late last night with some of those old emotions that I had worked through, because I've got the big call with a big giant, my current client, but it's with the finally, because I had said before that the meeting was going to be, like the following week, whatever. Well, it's gotten pushed back a couple different times. So tomorrow, by the time this gets published, it will have happened yesterday. That's if it doesn't get pushed back again, with the big baller lady who is over, this whole big giant company. She's the HR lady for the whole company, not just the division of the company. Right now I'm working with one of the divisions, and again, this meeting is with the big baller HR lady. Well, what's been fascinating is some of my old emotional stories have come up, like late last night, man, and I was up late just working through them, because it's been a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, since I've experienced those emotions, because thank God I've worked through a lot of those emotional injuries, and evidently there's still more to work on and work through, which thankfully I did last night, and I have done today, and which is critical. So many lessons in this. Do you know how to work through your emotional baggage and your emotional issues, your emotional injuries? Do you have the tools? That's so important, y'all. I've been talking a lot of, to some of my coaching clients and stuff. Look, it's not enough to just know the definition of emotional intelligence. Like, are you applying emotional fitness in your own life? Do you have an emotional fitness program? Because just because you can define it doesn't mean you can do it. You can apply it, right? Just because intellectually you know what an arm bar is, do you know how to apply it in a real life live role with a live opponent? That's a whole nother ball game. And watching hundreds of hours on YouTube is not enough. At some point, you've got to do that actual move yourself with an opponent 1,000 times, 5,000 times before you get comfortable doing that particular move. So the same thing with emotional exercises and emotional battle drills is it's one thing to again, to know the definition, or hey, yeah, I know some EQ stuff, but are you applying it? Man, it has been so life-changing for me, because I do not want to go into this meeting half-cocked. And thankfully, again, I'm working through these emotions. God is the one who brought me this whole client through a series of relationships, which I'm incredibly thankful for. And when I did the initial client meeting with, one of the divisions, which is a big, it's still one of the divisions, still a big chunk of the company. I had total peace, and that's how I am going to go into this one. Also, is I'm going to go in with total peace, but I need to work through those emotions. Here's a great example. So I one of the things that I volunteer at is with an organization called mensgroups.com. It's either mensgroups.com or mensgroup.com. I don't remember exactly. I interviewed the founder of that organization a while back, a guy named Sean, super dude from Canada. And so every couple weeks, I teach an emotional fitness workshop to men that many of them are struggling and are really going through some very, very difficult times in their life, whether it's relationally, maybe some health problems, many, if not, so of the group that was on Monday, 99% of them were going through a major life challenge, life situation. And one of the things one of the gentlemen asked, hey, how do I handle the emotions when I communicate with my now ex-wife and she attacks me and now has my daughter on her side and attacks me? How do I handle this? Which is a very real, excellent, raw question. And I don't know him from Adam's house, Kevin. I don't know these men. It's a lot of times it's a different group of men each time. There's a couple that are kind of the same that show up each time I do a workshop. This guy was new. I'd never met him before. And so one of the things that I really encouraged him to do, and it's a principle that I'm applying in this meeting with this big corporate human resources lady, is I said, look, I recommend you do some pre and post emotional work so that you can increase your chances of going into every conversation with your ex from as emotionally stable place and position as possible. Otherwise, the second you get triggered emotionally, it's all over. Even if, and especially if, she shows up to the call at an emotionally charged level of 10, it's almost guaranteed that if you are not able to be self-aware and manage your emotions in that conversation, you are almost guaranteed to get triggered as well, and it's going south 100% of the time. Not 87% of the time, not 37% of the time, 100% of the time, there are two emotionally hijacked, emotionally triggered people. There is never a positive outcome. It's just, the question is just, how bad is the outcome going to be? Is really what the question is. So that pre and post emotional work is so critical. And I also said, look, if you know that 80% of the time or 90% of the time when you do speak with your ex, you get triggered, I'm like, and if she calls you out of the blue, just, be respectful, don't answer, just text her back and say, hey, honey, or hey, whatever you call your ex, give me 10 minutes and I'll call you back. Or give me 5 minutes, give me 10 minutes. And in that 5 or 10 minutes, or hey, can I call back an hour or 2 hours, whatever the time is, but set a boundary for yourself so that you can say, hey, can I call you back in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever that time frame is, so that during that break, that time before you call her, that you can do some emotional pre-work to again, as much as possible, get as many of those emotions that get spun up and triggered as processed and managed as possible, so that again you decrease the likelihood, maybe not eliminate, but decrease the likelihood of you getting emotionally triggered. That way, even if she does answer the phone at an emotional 10 and she's emotionally hijacked just on the first hit, hello, doing that emotional pre-work will again increase the likelihood and chances of you being able to stay calm in the face of that level of emotional intensity, especially, and here's the challenge when it comes to those relationships like that, is that, when it comes to, like an ex or so you're going through a tough time with your significant other, they know what buttons to push. Again, making that emotional pre-work all the more important. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, what is the emotional pre-work, Noble? Here's the emotional pre-work. So this is what I've been doing last night. I did it today. I do my A.P.E.D exercises. You guys probably heard me say it a number of times. Go A.P.E.D, A-P-E-D. Acknowledge those emotions that I'm feeling. So I wrote down today on my phone all the emotions I was feeling about this big meeting that I have with this HR lady. I wrote them all down, all my emotions. The next phase is P, give myself permission to feel each of those emotions. So I took typically the top 5 to top 10 are the most intense emotions, the strongest emotions. So I just went, and this one I just did a couple of them, and I allowed myself to feel it. Okay, man, I'm feeling a little bit anxious. I'm feeling a little bit nervous. So I let myself feel a little anxious. I let myself feel a little nervous. And okay, let myself process and feel those emotions, and then E is express. As I continued my writing down, acknowledging those emotions, then I continue with some thoughts, journaling some thoughts. So E is express your emotions and thoughts through journaling. So I wrote out some thoughts and emotions that I had, and this is a big insight that came to me from doing some reflection. So in fact, so it was doing the reflection, but also during the D process, which is discuss. When I was discussing with Kathy, what I said was, she's like, hey, how's it going? I said, man, I freaked out last night. I was got all spun up emotionally, and had to work through my emotions and stuff of this meeting. I got hit with some old emotions that I have not been hit with in a long time. So I had to go through my emotional battle drills, and I said, and as I was discussing with her, this is the power of doing that, expressing through journaling and discussing with another person that is safe and non-judgmental. So what it enabled me to do some external processing, which I do a little bit of both, but I'm probably do a little bit more of the external processing more than the internal processing. And what happened was, I said, man, I think what the reason why I got a little bit emotionally spun up is that with my current amount of corporate clients that I've got right now, and again, by God's grace, I've got a handful of very God-sized clients for me, big, massive companies, which again, I can't take any credit for because I had nothing to do with them. They all came to me, and again, that was a God thing that opened those doors for me. And thankfully, with every single one of them, I am getting some amazing results with all these leaders that I'm blessed to work with, which is a tremendous, tremendous blessing, because there's so empowering it's so empowering to be able to do what you are gifted at. And this is something, this is one of the things that God has gifted me at. And it's exhilarating. It's exhilarating. It's humbling. It's encouraging. It's inspiring. I'm so thankful that I have this opportunity to, again, to be able to be in this position to do this. And so again, I am so thankful to be in a position to have these big companies and stuff. But the number of coaching clients that I have right now are my new comfort zone. So it's my new comfort zone right now, and I have found myself getting back into the habit of my old habit of trusting my own actions and work ethic and not trusting on God. For me, I love Jesus. That's my particular faith background. And that was a huge lesson that God had to help me with a couple years ago is, look, dude, I know you trust yourself and your own actions, but you need to start trusting me. And I'm like, no, God, like, I'll trust you as long as I get to do the work. And then I'll trust you because I know you'll bless me because I'm busting my rear end. And he said, no, McFly, like you got to trust me. And that's when he told me a couple years ago, I don't want you to do any business development. And I'm like, man, are you kidding me? I'm an entrepreneur, God. Like, I got to pay the bills. What do you mean you don't want me to do business development? And he did, and I didn't. So I said, okay, I'm going to trust you, which was a whole nother level. Took my relationship with him to a whole nother level because I trusted him to bring business to me, which sounds insane to any normal business guy. And again, he did. He has brought some ridiculous, again, insane, big giant corporate clients to me that I am so thankful that, again, that I am doing an amazing job with helping these leaders get change, experience behavioral transformation in their leadership, both personally and professionally. But I've gotten complacent and comfortable there. And depending on what happens with this meeting, if it goes such that she's like, hey, I want EQ Gangster to coach all our leaders, which is a truckload of leaders, I will be obviously ecstatic and we'll crush it. We'll do an amazing job. And I will have to depend and trust on God in a whole nother level, because I will have to scale beyond my own physical abilities, which, as an entrepreneur, for all the entrepreneurs who are listening, as a solopreneur, it is not easy to give up control. and so anyway, it's a lot of emotional stuff that I'm working through right now, and I'm just so thankful to be in this position. And tomorrow, when if the meeting goes, like it should, I'm just going to be me. I'm 100% going to be me. I'm going to show up authentic. I'm going to show up and I'm going to find out what her, challenges are from a corporate perspective. What challenges are you trying to solve for at your macro level? And if I have a solution for that with my coaching services and stuff and emotional intelligence and all that kind of stuff, then boom, it's going to be a grand slam. And if she has a need, a corporate need that I don't have solution for, then maybe I can refer her to somebody that I may know, or another company, another organization. But again, I'm just super thankful to be in this position. But man, it has really forced me to really do some, again, emotional work and emotional exercises. And again, I'm so thankful that I've been doing that consistently over the past 4 years, so that when I got hit with all these old emotions that I've had before 4 years ago, my insecurity, my doubt, my imposter syndrome, my self-sabotage, my unworthiness, my self-condemnation, self-hatred, I'm so thankful that I've been working on this stuff every day, because when these new opponents, these old jujitsu opponents of mine came back to my emotional mat, I knew how to roll with them, because I've been doing emotional jujitsu for the past 4 years consistently. And obviously still have more to, I'm still growing. I'm still working on this stuff myself. But I'm just so excited, man. I'm so excited that I was able to work through those emotions. Oh, and I busted out one of my favorite passages of all time, Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 to 30, which is a super dope. It's an entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur, I strongly recommend checking it out, because it is like one of my favorite entrepreneur. It is like the entrepreneur section in the Bible, and it's got some super dope skinny in there. And I read it, and it's like, man, I want to be faithful and responsible with the gifts that God has given me. And I don't want to hide them. I don't want to bury them in the backyard, which I did for 4 decades. But now I want to show up to, and maybe it's not this company, right? Maybe like, hey, dude, we don't dig you, whatever. Like, oh, I know you're getting results with our one division, but we don't want you with the other company, other parts of our company. Great, that's fine too. But I want to show up with the gifts that God's given me, and I want to impact as many leaders as I possibly can to help them reach their full potential of who God's called them to be, so that they can accomplish God's will for their life and not be sabotaged by their own potentially low EQ or lack of EQ areas or whatever, and they can be all that they were called to be. So you can be all that you were called to be, and not be limited by any emotional secret squirrel issues that you may or may not even be aware of, and nor maybe might be able to know how to roll with those particular emotional opponents from a jiu-jitsu perspective there. So thankful, y'all. So thankful. I've been doing this stuff, working on this stuff, working through this stuff. Go A.P.E.D. A.P.E.D. Acknowledge the emotion. Give yourself permission to feel those emotions, express those emotions through journaling, and then discuss those emotions with someone safe and that's trustworthy and non-judgmental, that you can kind of process this stuff with. Super, super thankful for you all. Thanks for being on this journey with me. Thank you for letting me be on the journey with you. Thank you for rating, reviewing, subscribing, sharing. Totally appreciate it. Y'all, I'm almost at 100 reviews on Apple Podcasts. It would mean the world if you all have not taken a moment, 15, 20 seconds to rate the Apple Podcasts and review. That would be awesome. I'd love to get to 100 reviews. That would be awesome. And same thing with Spotify. Now, I don't exactly know how to hit Spotify with the reviews and stuff, but if there's a way to review podcasts in Spotify, it would really mean a lot. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, man, thank you. And if there's an episode that you feel resonates with you, maybe share it with a friend. Maybe you've got a friend or family member, colleague, coworker that could get some value out of it. Share it with somebody else. Emotionally healthy leaders create emotionally healthy cultures and organizations, which lead to maximized, optimized performance, engagement, and results.